Okay, all right. Here we are. Hello. Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening. My name is Mike, and welcome back to the That Chapter podcast. The title of the podcast, which is Aliens. This is part 2 of the incredible story. I think it's pretty cool. Scary Tick, part 2 of the Hopkinsville. I don't know what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about when I have nothing written down, folks. You're welcome. So now we're talking about part 2 of the Hopkinsville Kelly aliens encounter. Yeah, man. Part 1 was wild.
It was, yeah. A lot of little green people running around. They kind of remind me of, do you remember in the way they describe them? Do you remember in the Flintstones, the Great Gazoo? Remember him?
I do. Yes. Yeah.
Kind of reminds me of him a little bit, short, big head.
Yeah, it's interesting actually, as I just pull it up on my computer. When you actually look at pictures of them, drawings of them and such, they look very, very weird. So it's like, I'll put some pictures up for the folks at home. But so it's a tall guy, all silver over like really long arms that go down to almost the feet, with big huge hands with talons, big round head, 2 eyes that are really far apart, kind of like a frog, and then it has like these bat ears almost. It kind of looks like a bat in a way, like Batman.
That's why one of the titles is, or one of the people described it as the Hopkinsville Goblins.
Goblins, yes, exactly. Goblins makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
They definitely do look like
goblins,
something from the mines of Moria. Let's go through the mines. So Keith, before we get into part 2, you have to introduce any ghost stories from your haunted house.
It's been quiet.
It's been quiet. Okay.
Which has been nice. And it's given me a lot of time to be able to spookify the house. Because we are getting closer to Halloween. And I'll spend a fortune on Halloween decorations.
Man.
Yeah.
Is there any... Halloween is the best time of year, in my opinion.
I think it's better than
September,
Christmas.
October. Oh, yeah. By far.
I love it.
It's actually funny. As I've gotten older, I love Halloween more and more.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. But I love it. Best time of year, in my opinion. The weather is nice. Everything's pretty. You got the blue skies, but you also got the trees are turning. It's nice, getting cooler.
Some nice atmosphere.
Sweater weather. You get the atmosphere. Oh, things get dark. It's spooky.
I guess we've a nice connection to it as well. Like, Halloween was started in Ireland. Actually, it was only down the road.
Down the road. I know. Sure, your man, Jim Bob down the road, he started it. Sure. He told me the other night.
El Jim, huh?
Yeah, he's having a great old time, pumpkins, scary movies. It's great. I love it. I'm so excited for Halloween this year. It's going to be great. And speaking of Halloween, let's get back to a very scary tale we're telling of the Hopkinsville Kelly encounter. In part 1, we talked about how the family at the Sutton family farm were chilling. There was a good load of them there, and they started seeing things out the window. Strange lights before these goblins appeared. They shot at him a couple of times. They ran off from the gunshots, but they would keep coming back, looking in the window, tapping on the glass, dragging their claws on the roof. Everybody was shit scared, ran to the police.
As you would.
Yeah. Police, newspaper reporters, state troopers, the neighbors even were all, Jesus, what's going on down there? Having a go. Saw nothing. But a couple of hours after they left, the aliens came back. Everyone was in bed, but at some point during the night, Mrs. Langford saw the little man with his hands on the window screen again. Her head was facing the window as she tried to sleep, only to be met by an illuminating glow outside. The creature seemed to have approached from around the chimney, reaching up to the screen, its clawed hands gripping it as it gazed silently into the room.
Bit of a voyeurism there.
Yeah, exactly. He's jerking off his head.
Dude, with those talents?
Yeah. She called to her family. Lucky, on the opposite side of the room, sprang to his feet. He picked up his gun, declaring his intention to shoot. Please no, his mother begged, likely hoping to avoid a repetition of the earlier frenzy. But Lucky was determined. Mama, I'm gonna shoot that little man. And he pulled the trigger. It had no impact on the visitors like before. Similar to the earlier shots, none of those fired during the second encounter harmed the creatures, and sightings would continue throughout the night. The family were huddled into this little one room, too scared to even look out the window for what they might see. The last sighting of the creature that night occurred roughly 30 minutes before sunrise, at about 5:15 a.m. on that Monday morning, August 22nd.
Lucky, I think I said it in the first one, but he really was trigger happy.
Oh yeah,
I
don't blame him.
No, yeah, absolutely. It was scary, but his mum was out his whole thing. She was very calm and collected, and she actually she spoke about when the aliens kind of, initially when they first started approaching the house, they were approaching with their hands.
Yeah, that's what they said, like they were surrendering.
Yeah, it was like they're walking slowly towards the house with their hands in the air, just like slowly approaching. They were never seemed to be like threatening, and then Lucky just kept getting the gun and shooting it.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of, remember in The Simpsons, when the aliens, or it was Mr. Burns coming out and saying, I bring you love.
Yeah.
Kill it!
Yeah. Yeah,
he's bringing
exactly.
love! Break his legs!
It's weird. But I mean, it's terrifying at the same time.
Oh, it would
I
be
don't think
scary.
it's
Oh,
gonna
yeah.
make it any better.
I'd shoot it also.
Yeah. So the Suttons got little sleep that night and rose early. Shortly after sunrise, Lucky Sutton, J.C. Sutton, and O.P. Baker set off by car for a journey to Evansville, Indiana, 85 miles to the north to collect furniture. Meanwhile, Billy Ray Taylor joined a neighbor for a hunting outing. Not sure he should be given a gun in his nervous state after what happened the night before. It's a bit...
And he hadn't slept.
Yeah, exactly. It's a bit brave of him to go out hunting after he's been shooting at aliens all night.
He was basically hunting all night.
Yeah, exactly. I guess he wanted to actually get a kill. The four women stayed back at the farmhouse, and investigators started returning during the day to conduct searches. They combed the fields, the woods, and the gully, seeking any trace of the little men or the spaceship. Yet, they met no success. Questioning the women again and interviewing the children, they obtained consistent accounts and details from the previous night. Some investigators even climbed onto the house's roof, but reported the absence of any footprints. Chief of Police, Greenwell, he engaged in multiple conversations with each of the women. And during the conversation, he was trying to catch them out on a lie. Like, he was like, okay, I'm gonna get them now. I know they're full of shit. So he would like say, he would mention, oh, they had small, these creatures, they're small eyes, what are they looking for? Every time he would say something that they hadn't said, about what they were wearing or noises, they would make, each time the women would correct him, saying, no, they always stuck to the story. He was never able to catch them out on a lie. According to Blue Book documents, the incident was never officially reported to the Air Force, and no official investigation was ever conducted. Despite this, the Air Force seemed to be involved immediately following the incident. As reported by the Evansville Press on August 22nd, Fort Campbell authorities today sent Major Albert Corrin to the scene to investigate. Additionally, 2 Army airplanes were observed circling over the fields and woods for an extended period. One was a light observation plane, potentially capturing area pictures. The other was likely a DC-3 or C-119, or another sizable aircraft employed at Fort Campbell. So they were taking this seriously and wanted to capture everything from the air they possibly could. And to explain what the Blue Book documents are, Project Blue Book was a United States Air Force program that aimed to investigate and analyze reports of unidentified flying objects. UFOs, now called UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomenon. It was active from 1952 to 1969 and was one of several military initiatives established to study UFO sightings and determine whether or not they posed a potential threat to national security. The project collected and reviewed thousands of UFO reports, conducted investigations, interviews, and analysis to determine the nature of these sightings. The project's main goal was to provide a scientific explanation for UFO sightings and to alleviate public concern about the phenomenon, the growing phenomenon with Roswell not happening too much earlier. However, it became the subject of controversy due to allegations of inadequate investigation and possible cover-ups of unexplained sightings. No surprise! After nearly 2 decades of operation, Project Blue Book was officially terminated in 1969, with the US conducting that most UFO reports could be explained as natural phenomena or conventional aircraft. Which, I mean, of course they would say that, you know?
Absolutely, yeah. It's really interesting, the Blue Books.
Definitely. I think it's one we should totally do a deep dive on. Probably do an episode, maybe a couple of episodes on it, do its entire history, the guys behind it, what they found, some of their famous incidents they investigated. I think it's absolutely fascinating.
Absolutely, yeah. No,
Definitely.
I'd love to do
Right.
that. It'd be great.
Future That Chapter podcast episode. So, the Hopkinsville story quickly gained publicity. WHOP station broadcast a brief account during their 9:15 to 9:25 a.m. news slot. Their reporter then conducted a brief interview at the farm for later broadcasts. The Kentucky New Era sent a reporter and photographer for an afternoon story. Wire service and local newspaper reporters from Kentucky, Indiana, and Tennessee flocked to the Hopkinsville police station, some venturing onto the farm. Dare they be brave enough? Radio reporters also joined in. There was even talk of reenacting the story on TV. It was pretty big news at the time. After the publicity wave came then the old door knockers, the jaw waggers, the old tire kickers. The Suttons, who had defended themselves against alleged outer space visitors, now found themselves contending with even more curious humans. These visitors congested the old Madisonville Road with their cars, touring around, questioning, entering the house uninvited, and taking pictures. The increasing human influx contrasted the fleeting terror of the little men. The new horde lingered and expanded throughout the day, taking over. I mean, this sounds actually way worse than the aliens.
Yeah.
Just having tourists knocking on your door, like looking into your house. Scarier to see a tourist with a camera looking in your window than an alien at this point.
Like, at this point, word had really gotten out. And, like, with these types of stories, they tend to grow legs and they expand out. And yeah. So there was some stories heading out that like the family had been abducted. So some of these people that were coming thought that the house had been empty and there was no one. So that's I guess why they were entering in. And they're like, no, we're still here. We live here. Get out.
Yeah. Don't make me get the gun again. The family alerted state troopers to clear the cars temporarily. The Suttons erected a no trespassing sign, but its enforcement was impossible without surrounding the property with police. Their sympathy dwindled when they introduced a new sign charging admission, starting at 50 cents and escalating in price for various... I mean, listen, if you're going to have tourists, may as well make a few dineros out of the whole deal. So I don't blame them.
No,
I like it. If you're going to fucking come on my property, I'm doing the give me money gesture with my hands for you guys.
That's what that is. It's nothing else.
Yeah, exactly. Opening and closing my hand. Cough it up, choppers. These signs, however, proved ineffective in deterring sightseers. Without barriers or controls, visitors roamed freely. So they're fucking stealing, if you ask me. The admission signs failed to serve their purpose, and the family didn't collect any money. Instead, they then made themselves kind of look bad by fueling perceptions that the whole incident was a money-making ploy, which left a sour taste in the public's mouth, and after a few days, things died down. Now, there are a lot of skeptics through the entire story, and rightly so, and to be fair, there was a complete lack of any evidence whatsoever. Also, in the eyes of the townspeople, this family was of low social status, which made them think it was more likely a hoax or hallucination caused by some substance abuse. However, as we said in part 1, police had a look around the house, did not find any hooch, any moonshine, and as you said, Mrs. Langford, she did not allow alcohol in the house.
She did not, no. She wouldn't have it.
And, to flip it another way, it's true there was no evidence to say this happened, but there's also... I was pointing at Keith there to see if you would finish my sentence.
There was no evidence to say it didn't happen.
Very good. Here are some of the arguments among skeptics. There were no footprints on the ground, but this would make sense. The little men were almost weightless and reported to be floating at times, so you might not see footprints. There were also no marks on the roof, but again, same argument as the footprints. No weight, no marks. There was no blood, but this would be expected. One of the little green men took a shotgun point blank to the face, scurried off. It seemed they reported to be wearing like metal suits as well, so of course there'd be no blood. He didn't actually injure them. No aliens were seen by the investigators when they arrived on scene, but the Suttons did notice and mention the creatures seemed to be sensitive to light. When they were near the light bulbs outside or were hit with a flashlight, it seemed to irritate them and they would just run away when you tried to illuminate the area. So when a bunch of police cars showed up with lights flashing everywhere, it's no wonder they took a hike. The spaceship was not found. Well, maybe it took off instead of waiting to be discovered by police. There was no sign that any object had landed. Well, maybe it didn't land at all. Billy Ray said he witnessed that it halted abruptly mid-air and then nosedived straight to the ground, vanishing into a 40-foot trench at the field's edge. It never crashed. Maybe it just hovered below the ground.
Exactly, yeah. Nothing more to it. But I guess the question still stands of why would they do it? And I know, so the Sutton family, they're humble farmers.
A mere humble farmer.
With meager income, resided in a very basic house, lacking in real modern amenities.
Very small house, 2 rooms.
Very, very small. Yeah, it was 2 rooms and then it seemed the kitchen was an afterthought, an extension. It's we need a kitchen.
Yeah, we actually need to fucking cook.
Put that on the end there. Their education level was likely limited, setting them apart from investigators and townspeople who they held bias against these country people. And skeptics, they deemed their economic status as a real reason to doubt them. Billy Ray Taylor and Lucky Sutton's carnival jobs, they fueled suspicions for their trickery. The admission sign post incident that really disturbed sympathisers, as you said before, and it really just reinforced cynicism. While these signs raised questions about a money-making scheme, they weren't put up until other means of discouraging crowds had failed. Their purpose may have just been to keep people away.
Right.
To bring in money.
It wasn't even like they were trying to make money. It was just like, we're hoping less people will come if we start charging them.
Exactly, yeah. Like the signs, they really appeared more like it was an afterthought.
Yeah.
If the plan was to make money from all this, then like it really didn't make sense for the men to get up. Like they got up early the next morning after all this had happened for a furniture pickup, and they wouldn't leave the women and children to deal with trying to collect money.
And they would have put up the money making sign from the start.
Exactly. Yeah. Like they had like they were carny folk. I'm sure they had the gift of the gab.
Yeah,
you know?
right.
They would have been there front and center trying to get people in. It's like, hey, come
roll
look at the
up,
alien.
roll
Exactly.
up. Yeah, probably made a bigger show out of this. I mean, it seemed like they were traumatized by this and didn't want people around. Didn't even really want to talk about it.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
So there's a number of theories around what happened here. My favorite theory is that on late Sunday, a group of trucks belonging to King's Circus that was going west through Hobsonville on the US 68, which was a few miles west of town. So the trucks, they stopped to exercise the camels and the horses, but one truck contained the monkeys. You see where this is going.
I do.
So this got lost in the town and failed to accompany the others. Instead, it turned north on US 41. Somewhere between Hobsonville and Kelly, this truck stopped to let the monkeys out for exercise.
Yeah, give the monkeys need to walk, need to stretch legs.
Exactly. Now, I know what you're thinking.
Mm-hmm.
This seemed like a terrible idea, but... Oh no, hang away. Yeah, no, the monkeys, they did in fact get loose.
yeah, I think so. And then they got killed.
Exactly, yeah. So one or two monkeys, they got loose and found their way to the farmhouse where they decided to stay all night and, get shot at while terrorizing a family until daybreak.
But ain't no silver monkeys. How can a monkey be silver?
That makes perfect sense.
Makes sense. The only problem with this theory is that there's no real evidence that the circus went through Hobsonville at the proper time to fit this story. So a lot of this is just hearsay.
Well, there's as much evidence that a circus went through town as there actually being aliens there.
That is true.
Yeah, no.
A more plausible explanation is the family, they were going through some kind of like mass hysteria. But even then, stressed individuals often provide varied accounts of an incident due to their like heightened emotions. However, in this case, all anxious adults, they witnessed similar alarming objects and encountered nearly identical events. If this was a shared hallucination, it was one of the most unanimous, consistent, and enduring instances ever documented.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, probably not. So, I guess we'll never know exactly what happened that night. FBI Special Agent Dana Scully from the X-Files said it best, I believe. Mulder, the truth is out there, but so are the lies.
Yeah, I know. That's good. I mean, I know people have said one of the theories before is that it was barn owls, that they seen barn owls and mistook them for aliens because their eyes will glow in a reflection and stuff like that, and they kind of look like them. But I mean, I don't know about it being some kind of animal, because if they were shooting at them, the animal will scurl off, but like, it won't come back. And like, when are owls like stalking a family?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Just the events that seem weird.
Does make sense. Yeah. And there was I know there was another one of the investigators, like 2 days later, they found out in the bush or out in the weeds somewhere, it was like a lump of tinfoil that had been caught like in a fence somewhere.
Yeah.
So they were saying that this might be the metallic skin that they soak on. But like, it took them 2 days to find that.
Yeah.
You think like, if it took them 2 days to find it, how are they going to see that from the house?
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
You know? So yeah, it just doesn't make sense.
It's mad.
But I guess, like, as terrifying of an ordeal this was for the Sutton family, they were lucky to get away with their life.
Mm-hmm.
As we'll see from the following examples,
Yes.
where encounters with possible extraterrestrial life did not end so well.
Aliens murdering.
It happens.
Mm-hmm.
So, on June 6th, so this is just another example of what happened. So,
yeah.
On June 6th, 1980, 56-year-old coal miner Zygmunt Adamski left home to just do a bit of a shop, but he never returned.
This was in the UK. This was in England. In
It
England
was.
in 1980.
It was. So his body was found on top of a 10-foot high pile of coal in the town of Todmorden, 20 miles away from his house. Local policeman PC Alan Godfrey noticed oddities. So he had like a missing shirt, missing wallet, watch, his hair was cropped, there was strange burns on his neck, and he only had 1 day's growth of beard, despite he'd been missing for 7 days.
Well, he'd been missing for 7 days, but he might have only been killed like 1 day.
That is true. So the coroner, Turnbull, confirmed that the burns had been treated with a strange ointment. that could not be identified by forensic scientists. PC Godfrey, he later said that Adamski looked like he'd been frightened to death and suggested alien abduction, saying that he's open to the idea and he can't rule it out.
So is he brought up the alien abduction? He's like, I don't know what happened here. Maybe it was aliens.
Yeah, I think it was just a matter, like it was a strange case. There was nothing, there was no witnesses.
Yeah.
They had no leads, they had nothing. The coroner was like, I don't know what this burn is. It's like, it seems like this forensic scientist can't figure out what it is. This seems non-human.
Yeah.
It's otherworldly. It's not something we've ever encountered before. So I guess that's when he slipped into his whole mindset of like, this could be aliens. I'm not going to rule it out. I'm going to look at every possible angle at this case.
Okay.
So the cause of Adamski's death, it remains an unsolved mystery. One theory was the KGB was involved, while others suggested lightning had led him astray, resulting in his demise on the coal heap. However, to many, the only plausible explanation was that Adamski encountered aliens on his way to the shops, leading to his tragic end. 5 months later, following the disturbing discovery of Adamski's body, Tmorden once again became a media focal point. This time, it was PC Godfrey who faced intense scrutiny. So responding to a 5 a.m. call about escaped cattle, again, like they're in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. These are the calls we're getting.
Yeah.
Morning, the swans escaped.
The swans escaped?
Yeah.
Right, and where's the swan escape from exactly?
The castle.
Oh yeah?
So Godfrey claimed he was halted by a UFO. He described it as a bright light, rotating, a diamond-shaped craft. He sketched it and then he sketched it out first, then he reached for his radio, only to find it wasn't working. It was non-functional. Suddenly, the craft vanished in a bright flash, leaving him and his car 30 yards further down the road from where he initially was. He checked his watch and it showed a 25-minute jump. And he had an itchy mark on his foot as well, which is a bit strange.
Yeah.
Puzzled, he revisited the scene, finding the road completely dry, despite just being raining. Investigating, he found the missing cows in a park adjacent to the road. The bizarre event had just left him questioning reality. Upon reporting the encounter, Godfrey, he faced a lot of skepticism and ridicule. So following a friend's suggestion, he decided to reach out to a hypnotist to try to unravel the whole experience. This is something we've seen a lot with these kind of alien abductions.
Yeah, famously with the Betty and Barney Hill story. The couple who were driving along the road in New Hampshire who saw a UFO. They followed it. Woke up days later. Couldn't remember a thing. Hypnosis revealed their terrifying abduction. Possibly another episode. Very scary story.
And that's it. Yeah, it happens when we see it coming up time and time again. This whole missing time. And it only seems to be when you go back into your subconscious, things start coming out again. So with Godfrey under hypnosis, he recalled being blinded by a light and losing consciousness. He described awakening in a strange room with small creatures and a tall humanoid figure. Despite these details, his claims were still met with skepticism. Weeks later, as his account spread internationally, because it got picked up by newspapers, Godfrey was called into his inspector's office. There sat a man in a dark suit and tie who introduced himself as the man from the ministry. The man presented a file with Godfrey's sketch of the craft. Although restricted from viewing the full file, Godfrey assumed it contained his account and his report on Adamski's death. Under the Official Secrets Act, the man instructed Godfrey not to share what he'd seen. A request Godfrey, he reluctantly accepted, I guess, when you're in that scenario with your boss there.
Choice.
Yeah. It's like either don't say a word or you lose your job, you go to jail.
Yeah.
The man then, he ended up following Godfrey several times over the next few days. They eventually crossed paths in a local pub where Godfrey confronted him, and after this confrontation, he didn't see the man again. The man had disappeared. The mysterious man's identity, it remains unclear. Godfrey speculates that he could have been an MI5 agent, just warning him off. Another theory suggests he might have been from the West Yorkshire police, aiming to prevent Godfrey from attracting more attention, given the ongoing negativity publicity surrounding the Yorkshire Ripper case.
Which is going on at the same time.
It was, yeah. We can't have two things. We can't have aliens and a Ripper.
Yeah, really fucked up.
That's just silly.
Yeah.
So despite others witnessing strange lights, including several other police officers and also a bus driver, Godfrey's claims they seem to just embarrass the force, and he was transferred and faced attempts at being sectioned.
Right, sent to the loony bin.
The loony bin, yeah. So Godfrey, he later asserted that he was forced out of police due to his unwavering story. Being a policeman who saw a UFO really complicated matters. It's fair enough. So, is there a plausible explanation for the events involving Sigmund Adamski and PC Godfrey, or the ongoing incidents over the past 4 decades? Despite numerous attempts to unravel the puzzle, a definitive answer still remains elusive. Concerning Adamski, the condition of his clothing and peculiar burns and his altered appearance still, to this day, continues to perplex observers. However, if he did fabricate the account, it really had dire consequences, tarnishing his reputation, costing him his job, his family, his home, and even leading to alcoholism. Despite these challenges, he remains resolute that an extraordinary experience unfolded that night.
That's bizarre. So I wonder, if Adamski was, taken by aliens, and then he's seen the same aliens, and then people from the MI5 fucking Ministry of Magic or some shit.
Yeah, Man in Black.
That's crazy. So I was looking at the map for where this town of Todmorden is. It's in like north of England. It's kind of like between Manchester and Leeds. It's like kind of in the middle of nowhere from what I can see. And yeah, a lot of spooky things always happen out there in the middle of nowhere. Here's a story, right? And this is a story that's actually pretty graphic. So earmuffs if you're not into that kind of thing. But listen to this. On September 29th, 1988, a lifeless body of a middle-aged man displaying severe mutilation was discovered on the shores of Billings Reservoir in Sao Paulo, Brazil. This incident marked one of the most unsettling deaths on record. No indications were available regarding the circumstances leading to the presence of the body or the identity of the individual responsible for the mutilation. The disfigurement was executed using surgical equipment, and there is speculation that the apparatus employed exceeded human technological capabilities. You can find pictures of this body online. We'll put a link in the description or something, but genuinely, guys, if you want to click the link, it's very, it shows a dead body, but a very gruesome dead body. So just to describe you, there's a picture of this guy. He's lying on his back, so it's looking at his face. His face is gone, so it's his skull, but he's still got skin around. It's just like his face.
It's like half his skull's kind of gone.
Yeah, but his skull is black, burnt. It looks like his face has been burnt off. And then he has this weird hole, almost perfectly circular hole underneath his armpit, which is pretty bloody. And then in other pictures which do show his deceased genitals, his dick looked like it's been burnt off or something. He has a weird hole in the center of his stomach, around his belly button, maybe just above his belly button. Again, a perfectly round hole. Another perfectly round hole on his leg, on his left leg. And then it shows his butt, and he's got, something's been stuck up there, alright. It looks exactly like the images you would see of mutilated cattle. When they have, crop circles and cattle, people sucking out the insides of the cattle with that kind of stuff that you've definitely all heard about. Because literally there's other pictures of the cows in comparison, and it's the exact same stuff was done to him, was done to these cows you hear about, near Skinwalker Ranch and that kind of stuff. Where his body was found, the Billings Reservoir, now was notorious for being a site where numerous fatalities took place. Hardly a year went by without at least one drowning incident occurring there. Additionally, the reservoir had been utilized as a disposal site for bodies linked to the various gang-related homicides on the streets of Sao Paulo. However, the case at hand was particularly unsettling and defied straightforward explanation. On a sunny autumn day, September 29, 1988, a schoolboy ventured along Billings Reservoir after school, keen to explore the presence of birds and insects among the grass and trees. His attention was drawn to a sizable gathering of vultures on the opposite bank. Initially mistaking what they were at for a deceased animal, he aimed a stone at the birds to get rid of them. To his shock, what lay beneath the birds was a severely mutilated body of a middle-aged man. Overwhelmed by fear, he sprinted to the nearby village and hastily recounted his disturbing discovery to the villagers. The police, a fire truck, and 2 officers from the Santo Amaro Police Department arrived after being called. Upon addressing the situation, they all recognized its distinct nature compared to other cases. By late afternoon, the area was cordoned off and swarmed by police officers and medical staff. Over the subsequent hours, rumor buzzed among the villagers, yet no reports surfaced in the evening news or tabloids. Under the cover of night, the police, medical personnel, and all others at the scene departed, unnoticed by the villagers. By morning, police tape remained, and trampled grass bore witness to their presence. Afterwards, the case seemingly just disappeared from public discussion, gradually fading from villagers' memories. In 1994, forensic reports and the accompanying photos leaked to the press, which are the photos I told you about, leading to subdued reports in newspapers and publications over the next few weeks. It seems a government insider, deeply disturbed by the case and what they found, decided to break their silence and reveal the information to the public. Now, as I already described to you, the condition in which the body was found was so distressing that authorities questioned who or what could inflict such injuries upon another person. It even raised doubts about human capability to cause such harm. You'll always hear about these stories about the cartels and shit like that, and like South America torturing people, chopping their faces off and all this kind of stuff. But what was done to this guy seems...
Even that was a bit much.
It's a bit much. But it doesn't even seem like that. Like, it does seem surgical and like precise and weird. Again, you can check out the pictures, but I'd recommend you have a strong stomach if you want to check them out. But yeah, they're
like usually with the gangs, it's usually like beheadings or something like that. But this was, as I said, it was surgical. Like it was carefully
done. Someone
very
was
carefully
taking their time.
Carefully executed.
Out of respect for the victim's family, personal details of who this actually was were withheld from the press. This incident marked an unprecedented level of mutilation, unmatched before or since in the public sphere. In the autopsy report, it was mentioned that the eyes were extracted and the eyelids were cut away. The tongue had been removed, the left ear had been sliced off, lips and flesh around the mandibles, the jaw, the neck had been excised, and a significant piece of jawbone was missing. Examining the entire body, they found that armpits, each of them, had been punctured by a single hole 1.5 inches in diameter, and similar holes were found on the legs and arms. It was discovered that flesh, including entire muscles, had been extracted. These holes were all uniform in size, and the way they had been inflicted, and that there were 2 holes on opposite sides of the body, such as, armpits, legs, found that they were symmetrically aligned with each other. During the forensic examination of the victim's body, a startling discovery emerged. Not only had the external mutilation take place, but the internal organs had been entirely removed. Absent was the kidney, the liver, the large and small intestine, and the pancreas, causing the chest and stomach to shrink inward, which is actually interesting. In the pictures, you'll see that his stomach is like small, it looks like he's sucking his tummy in, which is kind of like the opposite of what usually happens to a dead body, where you start to bloat.
Out. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks weird. Strangely, there was no abdominal incision. Instead, a hole was present in the location where the navel should have been, roughly the same size as the other injuries. Forensics concluded that the organs, along with the organ tissue, had been sucked out via these holes via some suction mechanism. A completely unnatural method of extraction, I think don't need to say. It's also believed that the mechanism used for the victim was beyond the technical expertise of man. The victim's colon was also taken out, leaving a big old hole in the rectum. Notably, all wounds exhibited a curious absence of bleeding, suggesting that blood had been removed simultaneously with the incisions, which were effectively cauterized. A meticulous precision and employment of unfamiliar technology strongly hinted at an extraterrestrial experiment. According to Discovery, many cattle were found mutilated in the same way, abandoned in fields. This story sounds exactly the same as the stories you hear about cows found on farms, farmers finding them with their eyes ripped out, stomachs sucked out, all that kind of shit. It's really, really messed up stuff. Regarded as the most agonizing and unsettling element of this incident, his demise lacked any trace of anesthesia or paralyzing substances. Every injury was inflicted without numbing agents, leaving the victim fully conscious throughout the process. Upon examining the cranial cavity, the forensic report noted 2 distinct findings: an unimpaired skull cap and signs of cerebral edema without accompanying trauma to the skull, indicating an agonizing death.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's really, that's a really dark one. Yeah, those pictures are not very nice.
Not safe for work there if you're going to look it up. But you really kind of puts into perspective that the Suttons kind of...
They got off lightly. I mean, he literally seems like what you would imagine someone who has been experimented with by aliens, where they're just like, we're going to see what the inside of a human looks like. And they did that to this poor Brazilian guy in Sao Paulo. So for any of those folks who had alien encounters and saw a big spooky guy with big eyes, that's pretty easy. You're doing all right. That's it. That's kind of a good way to find an alien, I think. Yeah, that's the experience you want to have. So that is, hey, what a way to end this one, folks. Pretty dark and disturbing.
Well, end on a light note.
Heavily lighten us up a bit so that we're not so freaked out by, man, that's kind of nightmare fuel, actually. You know, folks, disregard what I said. Don't look up those images. I'm not gonna. I don't think I should put a link in them because they're. No, I feel like I should because some people would be curious. I will, but I
You
don't
can
want
find
to.
them. You can find it quite easily. So maybe you can find it yourself.
Anyways, all right. Let's lighten the mood here. I don't want to talk about some guys getting his insides like that.
Need to end on a high note.
Yeah. So aliens, huh?
Aliens, yeah.
Pretty cool. Not so cool anymore after what happened to that guy, but other than that, pretty cool. I'm a fan. I do believe in aliens. I think that they're chilling somewhere. Who knows where? Maybe we'll find out one day, hopefully.
Could be anywhere. Could be here.
Could be in
Yeah.
this room right now.
Keep watching the skis.
Yeah. Second time. First time every time. All right. Here, listen, that'll wrap up this whole episode. Thank you so much for listening. It means the world to myself and to Keith.
Yep.
By the way, I've had so many people asking, who are you, your social media, what do you look like? You'll see him soon. He'll be in a video at some point. So don't worry. You'll see his ugly mug at some point.
When you feel a breeze on the back of your neck, that's me.
All right, here, listen, here. We'll talk to you in the next episode, which will be at next week, so I look forward to that. But until then, please take care of yourselves and each other, because I love you.
I love you too.
There you go. All right, thanks, guys. Bye.